Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit is finally out, and let me tell ya, it's everything I hoped for. This game restored my faith in the franchise. In case you've been living under a rock, Into the Pit is based off of the Five Nights at Freddy's book with the same name. A young boy named Oswald finds a ball pit in an old rundown pizzeria named Jeff's Pizza. Although this is no ordinary ball pit. It travels through time. Oswald gets sent back in time to when this pizzeria was Freddy Fazbear's. And as if that wasn't terrifying already, he gets sent back to the day Springtrap goes on a murder spree. When traveling back to the future, Spring Bonnie follows him, kidnaps his dad, and takes his place. And it seems only Oswald can see what his dad has truly turned into. What a game this turned out to be. Before we deep dive into the details, I've got to say you should definitely play this game for yourself. It's got a pretty hefty price for a Fnaf game, but that's because it took years to develop. If the art style alone doesn't give it away, this game is a total love letter to the entire franchise. It's packed with secrets, Easter eggs, and tons of nods to the games that came before it. I won't be covering every single detail as much as I'd love to, but I'll be going over the story and what I loved about the game in general. But if you're interested in a more in-depth analysis, just let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to dissect it for you. But for now, let's get into the pit. The game kicks off with Oswald getting dropped off at Jeff's Pizza by his dad. The family's going through a bit of a rough patch. Oswald's dad lost his job when the local mill shut down, and a lot of other people along with him. Oswald's mom has been very distant because she's been working extra shifts at the hospital just to keep the family afloat. Jeff's Pizza is the only affordable fast food restaurant in town, and the most unsanitary restaurant in town. Ew. After eating our C-grade slice of pizza, we overhear a family sitting next to us talking about an abandoned ball pit somewhere in the building. With nothing better to do on our last day before school starts, we decide to track down this ball pit and pull a little prank on our dad by hiding there when he comes to pick us up. To our surprise, jumping in the pit doesn't lead to the kind of diseases you'd expect. Instead, we find ourselves back in June of 1985, when this place used to be a Freddy Fazbear's. Freddy's is a strong contrast to Jeff's empty restaurant. This place is filled with kids, music, and laughter in just about every room. This might be the very first time we've ever seen Freddy's during the day. There is so much to do and see. It's equally as distracting for Oswald as it is for us, because we run into two kids named Chip and Mike, who we seem to immediately hit it off with. Chip and Mike show us around and play a few games along the way. During a game of hide and seek, however, we choose to hide in the storage room. Sitting in this room is none other than the empty golden Freddy suit. A perfect hiding spot. Mwah. Perfect. While we're hiding, all the lights in the building go out, and we're introduced to the main villain of the game, Spring Bonnie. I cannot express how much I love his design. He's absolutely terrifying and borderline animalistic. It doesn't take long before we start hearing screams and cries from both parents and kids. I'll let you listen to the game's audio for a bit. Trust me, the music and sound ramps up the tension and makes this experience genuinely terrifying. That Chip and Mike might be in danger, we investigate the source of the fire. The animation is incredibly smooth, giving Spring Bonnie an eerie, lifelike quality as if the suit itself was alive. The animation only gets better from here as we open the door to the party room. Desperately making our escape, we made it to the ball pit, taking us back to the future. In the present, our dad catches us and yells at us for hiding, only for Spring Bonnie to come out of the ball pit with us and grab our dad. After helping him pull himself out of the pit, it's pretty obvious something is very off about him. That man is not our dad. Spring Bonnie has replaced him, and no one seems to see what we see. Even Jeff doesn't see. Bonnie Dad grabs our hand and forces us to go home. After what must be the most intense and awkward car ride, we slip back into our bedroom. When we try to grab Dad's phone to call Mom, we had to set off some distractions to get Bonnie Dad out of the bedroom. There are lots of opportunities to hide or cause a distraction. It's the only way for us to navigate the house safely. When getting access to the phone, instead of calling Mom as planned, I decided to call 911. And to my surprise, the game actually accounted for that. So going with plan B, calling Mom will make her race home to help us out. However, explaining everything that happened to Dad seems to be a waste of effort. She doesn't believe us, and heads back to work. Cool, great, thanks Mom. Alright, well, I guess it's up to us now. That's right, we're going back in time to Freddy Fazbear's to get our dad off the menu. Coming out of the ball pit, we find ourselves at Freddy's after hours. The place is dark, quiet, and abandoned, until the cries of a child start to echo through the building. Heading towards the cry, we find a child stuffed into an exoskeleton. Thankfully, they're okay. For now, that is. But we decided to put the search for our dad on hold to find a screwdriver. Okay, let's pause for a minute. This game has a lot of items you can collect just by exploring, most of them being pretty important to solve a puzzle. I don't want to leave any of you lost, but I really don't want to do a step-by-step video. That would make this video painfully long, and it's already super long as is. So we're gonna go through this real fast like. To free this kid from the endosuit, we'll need to go back to the future. Talking to Jeff, we can get a key to the basement, but first he wants us to take out the trash for him. He gives us a flashlight because we're taking out the trash at night. After the deed is done, we can grab the key, go back to the past, unlock the basement, and grab a screwdriver. Now we can take that screwdriver to the crying kid and free him from the exoskeleton. There's not a lot of time to celebrate, however, because Spring Bonnie chases you back into the pit, ending tonight's search. We'll come back tomorrow. We need to get some rest before our first day of school. To start the day, we meet Mom in the kitchen for breakfast. She tells us Dad's waiting for us at the table. Yep, cool. Not Dad, though. We'll skip breakfast and take our sack lunch with us to school. In the schoolyard, we watch a group of kids playing with fireworks. Once they go off, they all scatter to avoid getting in trouble. Wonder if that kid has got any more. Talking to the kid, we found out his name is Jet. And Jet isn't just gonna let us have one. He said if we have anything to trade for it, he'd meet us outside of the library. After school, we witness a girl named Gabriella being picked on. Talking to her will give us her grandfather's old sketchbook, filled with ways to stun or disable the old animatronics. How convenient! Let's head home and prepare for a second attempt at saving Dad. Using our screwdriver, we can sneak out of the bedroom window and head over to Jeff's Pizzeria once again, and take a trip back in time. Before we can even start our search, all the lights in the building go out. Thankfully, our dad taught us how to use a power box, so we get the lights back on. After restoring the power, we hear yet another kid crying for help. This time, it's coming from the kitchen. Trying to open the door, we see Chica, and she sees us. After dropping our lunch bag, Chica snags it and eats it, giving us a chance to escape. This gives Oswald an idea to lure her out with a slice of pizza, which, going back to the future and asking Jeff, he makes it clear we'll have to buy a slice if we want one. No handouts. Alright, ready? Try to keep up. At the present day mill, you'll find an empty trap. Take this trap into the past and use it to capture this rat. Head back to the future and use it to cause a scene with this paranoid lady. Jeff will leave and you can enter the present day kitchen and grab a slice. Go back in time and place the pizza in an empty box. Chica will come out, giving you a chance to head to the kitchen. Opening the cabinet door, we find Mike hiding inside. He tells us that he'll meet us at the entrance. Meeting Mike at the front doors, we get a chance to ask him if he's seen our dad. And unfortunately, he hasn't. But that makes Mike realize that he hasn't seen Chip either. He might still be in the After barely escaping, we decide to call it a night. Hang in there one more night, Dad. We'll save you. We waste no time this morning. After avoiding Bonnie Dad as much as we can, we make our way back to school. Here, Dylan, the school bully, runs into us in the hallway and slaps us in the face with a sticky hand. Thankfully, this jerk gets what's coming to him. In class, we start to hallucinate Spring Bonnie and the gang. We take the opportunity to help Miss Macham retrieve a book in the principal's office. Before we can get in, we need to help the principal find her keys. Once we get them, we can go back to her office and grab the book for ourselves. And look, it's still in sticky hand. We'll take that too. The rest of the day goes by quickly and class is dismissed, and we can make our way home. We'll need to find a different way out if we want to make it to the ball pit tonight. Bonnie Dad has been busy barricading the house, trying to keep us trapped inside. Luckily, we found a ladder in the attic that we could use to sneak out through the basement window. As we move into the past, we hear another kid crying. This time, it seems to be coming from the arcade, but the door is locked. We can find the key in an air vent using the sticky hand that we, borrowed from Dylan to retrieve it. In the arcade, we discover Bonnie with Chip tied to an arcade machine. We'll need to lure Bonnie away somehow. If we head back into the future and go to the mill, we can find some guitar strings. However, Dylan catches us rummaging through the trash and snaps a photo. He threatens to show everyone at school. I swear to God, I'm going to drag this kid into the ball pit and let Spring Bonnie deal with him. I'm not kidding. Back in the past, we can use the strings to repair the guitar. Once it's fixed, we can play it on stage to lure Bonnie. And by lure Bonnie, I mean it run. Run! We take shelter behind the stage, hiding in a vent until he leaves. Using the vent, we crawl back into the party hall, then head back up to the arcade to free Chip from being whacked. But Spring Bonnie isn't far behind, and he's not alone. And that's our cue to head back to the future. Barely escaping, we make it back home safely and call it a night. Sorry, Dad. Another day, another dollar. Let's head to school. There is no way we can handle this. We need to get Dad out of there now. Panicked, we run straight to the ball pit. Upon entering the past, a shrill scream echoes from the security office. Just like before, Freddy is guarding the office and he is not letting anyone in. Not that I'm eager to go in, honestly. I feel safe on the other side. Back in the future, we can meet up with Jeff, the boy who wants to trade for one of those items. There's a few options that you can use to trade with him, but I found this Freddy mask while rummaging through the attic, so I'll be using that. After catching up with Gabriella, we're finally ready to— wait, no! Bonnie Dad finds us and drags us home by the arm, locking us in for the night. Tonight, we're gonna have to be a little creative if we want to escape. First, we can grab the rope from the basement and take it up to the attic to climb out through the window. Let's fast forward to the past, just outside the security room. We use Jeff's firecracker to stun Freddy long enough to slip inside the security office. In the corner, we find a terrified girl who just refuses to leave until she's sure that the coast is clear. No matter how you distract Spring Bonnie, the kid will be missing by the time you get back. Checking the cameras, we see that Spring Bonnie has her and is dragging her to the kitchen, locking her in the freezer. Next, we need to head to the arcade. Remove the mallet from one of the games and use it to break the lock in the freezer. But it's not over yet. Another unavoidable chase from Spring Bonnie begins as we race to the ball pit. Oswald, as frustrated as I am, declares that this ends tomorrow. After waking up from a nightmare, we realize that we slept through the entire day. We've wasted enough time, so let's head straight to the ball pit again. But when we try to open the door to the ball pit room, we find the door is locked. Seriously, Jeff? Come on, man. We find Jeff in the security office playing solitaire. After some convincing, he reluctantly hands over the key. Great, now we can— oh my god! Barely making to the ball pit, we jump in and head to the past, with Spring Bonnie still on our tail. We can lose him by hiding anywhere as long as we're not in the same room as him. Once it's quiet, we hear yet another kid crying for help. This kid's locked in the party room, but we can't enter without a key card. Taking the vent here, we crawl to the back of the stage and find a key card on what looks like a pile of disassembled remains of Freddy and the gang. Yikes. Returning through the vent, we can open the locked door. Thankfully, nothing spooky, just a girl. Unfortunately, she hasn't seen our dad. However, she mentions hearing noises in the vent. Wasting no time, we head through the vent and find our dad tied up. We manage to untie him before we have to hide again as Spring Bonnie comes in and takes our dad. We have no choice but to chase after them to the same vent we came through. Alright, let's pause here. This is a crucial part of the game because this is where you can unlock one of 3 different endings, depending on what you've collected through your playthrough. So, the one we're currently on, I'll call this the bad ending. In this ending, we haven't collected all 5 of Dad's belongings. We'll get into what those items mean and where they are in a minute, but for now, let's see what happens when we finish the game with collecting nothing. As we enter the ball pit room, we watch in horror as Spring Bonnie lifts our dad and throws him into the ball pit. He charges at us, but we manage to dodge him and jump into the pit with our dad. Back in the present, we drag our dad out of the ball pit. Thankfully, he's okay, and he even wakes up. But this wouldn't be the bad ending if it ended there. Suddenly, Spring Bonnie leaps out of the pit and drags us in with him. I'll call this the good ending. I should mention that there are 5 items that belong to our dad that you can find through the pizzeria in the past. Each item reveals a bit of lore about the relationship between Oswald and his dad. You can find Dad's wallet behind the stage, a photo of Oswald in the room with Golden Freddy, a family vacation photo in the kitchen, Dad's wedding ring in the security office, and finally Dad's name tag just outside that office. If you collect all of these items, and after finding Dad, you'll discover a photo of 2 men outside the vent. A hint to William Afton and Henry Emily, the former owners of Freddy's. This time when you head to the ball pit room, the ending will play out a little different. After the credits roll, we get an end credit scene. Now, we could end it there, but we can unlock a better ending for Jeff. I'm gonna be completely transparent. I didn't unlock this ending myself, but from my understanding, this is how you obtain the best ending. You need to play through 3 secret minigames. The first secret you can find by clicking on this candy dispenser multiple times. The second game can be found by using a voucher 5 times in the past. And the last minigame can be found when trying to call Mom on night 5. Now, this is where I'm unsure what I didn't do. All I could think of is I didn't repair every arcade machine in the future, so that might have something to do with it. After all that, make sure to collect everything and the good ending is normal. The ending will even play out the same, but this time the end credits have changed. Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit has fully restored my faith in the franchise. While the game isn't perfect, and it can be extremely repetitive at times, there are 2 main reasons why I love it. Firstly, the art style is a perfect fit for the franchise's theme. It's actually quite scary at times, with a lot of jump scares even being more frightening thanks to the art style. Despite its eerie moments, it retains the cheerful charm of the restaurant's design. And this style allows characters to express themselves fully, unlike their 3D counterparts. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing more games in this art style, it's beautifully done. Secondly, I adore the relationship between Oswald and his dad. Oswald's father goes above and beyond, working tirelessly to afford things just to make Oswald happy. Even after losing his job, he strives to do what's best for his son. This honestly reminds me when I was young, when it was just my dad and I. Makes me remember a lot of the things my dad did for me. Oswald's determination to save his dad feels like something I would experience if I was in his place. It hits genuinely close to home. All in all, Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit is a fantastic game, and I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said before, it's $20, but it's totally worth it. I encourage you to play it for yourself, really. Do it. Buy it. Now. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Into the Pit. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth analysis, or have any other games you'd like me to cover, drop a comment below. Until then, I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye!